Well, it's time for our Chapter 2 overview, and I'm going to do this in two parts because we're going to take a couple weeks to cover it because ethics is a very important topic. So Chapter 2, they start off talking about this concern for ethical and societal issues. There's two camps to this argument about ethics in business. There are some people that believe that all things in business are fair, right? There's no such thing as worrying about what you say in your marketing ads and all that good stuff. And then, of course, there's the other camp that says, yes, we do have to have some sort of ethical concern for society as a whole. I think and hopefully we will keep moving that way towards most people feeling that that's the right way to go. So business ethics, you can read the definition yourself here. You know, standards of conduct and moral values regarding right and wrong actions in the work environment. I'm sure all of you could go to Google and find tons of different things that businesses have done that have hurt society, whether it's something they've done to the environment or someone they've cheated or a number of things. You probably can't go and find as many things that are said that companies do that are good. So there's always a bad apple in every bunch, right? But businesses, we do have to find a proper balance. We can't do everything in a philanthropic way. Otherwise, we can't make money, right? Because we are not-for-profit companies. We are for-profit organizations. So you got to try to find the right balance of doing what's profitable and also what's doing right. A lot of companies have what's called a code of conduct, and that's kind of like their playbook for this is how we're going to play it. Okay, and that's their code of conduct. Now, the next section is called the contemporary ethical environment, and that's where we get into that corporate social responsibility. And if you look at figure 2.1, Johnson & Johnson, they share their credo, for example. That's our credo, it's called. And these sort of pledges, these are huge. These are huge in how a company then will run its business if they're going to live by their credo. People can say all kinds of things, but it's better to see how they act to decide whether it's valuable or not or has any meaning. Because I can tell you right now, I've read a lot of mission statements and vision statements, good gravy. I've worked with companies to help them design those. And they turn around and don't act in any way, shape, or form according to their vision or their mission, okay? And you can also, I think this book references the National Business, well, there's my kitty, sorry. Go, Libby. The National Business, oh, there goes my books. National Business Ethics Survey and the Ethics Resource Center. These are really good resources that you can even access yourself and get a better idea of what this whole social responsibility is all about. And then as we move on, we talk about the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, Sarbox we call it. And this is basically what the minimum requirements are for ethical compliance for certain programs. I'm going to have to squirt the kitty. He's just a camera hog. Oh my gosh. But this was redone, was it 2002? Because we had a lot of people kind of falling off the grid here when it came to ethical approaches to their finances in particular. So when I talk about that, think about some of the crashes we've had in our markets. And you can read through those minimum requirements, and that'll give you a better idea what I talk about when I say compliance, okay? But what it boils down to is really that next heading that says individuals are the ones that really make a difference. If we didn't have people that were willing to blow the whistle or do the right thing, there's a lot of companies that could do a lot of really bad things, right? But we need those people, individuals. We need individuals like you who will study business and value how commerce actually works if we do it not only to make profit, but to do it ethically. And in the end, we do have studies, and I could quote them and go find them for you, that will tell you that you are usually you are more profitable when you run your business in an ethical way, especially with social media involved now. You can't get away with some of the things that some of the companies of the old days maybe got away with. Development of individual ethics, figure 2.2 shows you that stageal development, stage 1, pre-conventional, stage 2, conventional, and then stage 3, post-conventional. So take a look at that, because you're going to be faced with these ethical situations in the workplace. And that's where we call, like, for example, I think the post-conventional mentions that whole idea of business etiquette. And what that means. You're going to be faced with certain personal dilemmas at time. And then on the job. So for example, that on the job ethical dilemmas section talks about that. Um, there's people that will cheat the system, and if we don't try to keep everybody on their toes and in line, then who loses out? The customer in the end is the one that loses out. And then of course, if once that gets figured out, your company can that would be very detrimental to your company. Geez, now we have the Chihuahua helping us today. This is like a zoo here in recording land, right? So when you look at conflict of interest, and that's one of the things that you might be up against, it's figure 2.3 in your book looks, that's the color wheel there that shows you ethical challenges. The honesty and integrity, loyalty versus truth, whistleblowing, and then a conflict of interest. Now, the conflict of interest, for example, has to do with like insider trading. You cannot, when you get inside information, you can't go trade on it if it hasn't been published yet. That's called insider trading. You can have, there's been like Deloitte and Touche. I don't know if you're familiar with the case. It's a long case not too long ago, but they ended up having a conflict of interest by representing people that were doing bad things, right, in the financial markets, and they were also their auditor. Well, you can't do that. I can't be your accountant and be your auditor, okay? We can have a real conflict of interest there. Then, of course, honesty and integrity, you can read that, and the loyalty versus truth, and then whistleblowing. Now, whistleblowing unto itself is a different beast, because we have federal laws that are wrapped around whistleblowing. So read that carefully. How organizations shape their ethical conduct. I want you to look at figure 2.4. It's the one with the pyramid, the blocks, the pyramids. And those are the 4 key areas here. So if you look at ethical awareness, for example, that's where that code of conduct comes in. If you have a code of conduct at your company, at least it makes all your employees aware that you have some sort of ethical standard. Then you look at ethical training, ethical education. That's training. And I've done tons of training on this, going from company to company and talking about ethics within the workplace. And then ethical action, and this here is, and I like the questions that they give you as an example in the book. You need to ask yourself, if you're ever in an ethical dilemma, like I'm feeling a little creepy about this, like, is this action legal? Does it comply with our values? How does it make you feel bad? Like, I shouldn't be doing this, right? How would it look in the newspaper? Did your mom ever tell you that? Do you want something that you say? Would you like to have it heard on the news, on the nightly news? If you're not sure, you need to really ask about it, okay? And then keep asking those questions until you get the right answer. And then the last part of this, this part 1 of chapter 2 overview is the ethical leadership. That's where they either live it or they don't, right? Lots of talk, but where's the action? So I love the example they gave here with, it was an owner of the juice bar or something. They did 22 days of kindness. That sends a real message to your employees. And it also takes into account all of your stakeholders that you are really living an ethical way to run your business. Okay. Well, that wraps up part 1. And when I come back, we're going to start on acting responsibly. Acting responsibly to satisfy society. That will be part 2 of our chapter 2 overview. Oh gosh, say that 3 times. See ya in the next installment.